All right, Tony, we're doing a little story here on greats of the game. Looking at you and over your career that you've put amazing numbers up at batting. Is there any pressure on you, as people expect you to keep doing what you're doing year in, year out? Is there any pressure on yourself?
No, there's no pressure. It's to me it's kind of funny, because you dig this hole for yourself when you're able to be consistent. People just expect you to hit 340, 350 like it's nothing, and when you don't, something's wrong, and when you do, it's expected. And so for me, I think it's going to take something out of the ordinary to surprise people, either one way or the other, and so that part is pretty funny to me. But there's no pressure. I just go out and do what I do, and it's a lot more fun when you're winning like we are now. But the job is still the same. You go out there with a game plan, you try to execute. When you do execute consistently, you expect to be successful. When you don't, then you expect to struggle, like I am now. And so the object is to try to find your swing and try to maintain it for 162 games. And when you put all 17 years together, it looks pretty good. But there are stretches during that 17 years where you're really good and then you're really bad. And the key is to try to find it and then maintain it.
You were one of the very fortunate ball players that got to actually stay with the team that you got drafted by. That's got to be something special to
Well,
yourself.
everybody has that opportunity. There are some cases where guys get traded and stuff, but in my case, I'm playing exactly where I want to be. And loyalty works both ways. I have to feel loyalty to the club, and they have to feel a little bit towards me. And so I've been fortunate to be able to play my whole career here, and it doesn't happen that much in sports. And I think it's really weird because I get a lot of respect because I'm still here with the Padres. And in years past that was normal. And the way the games and athletics has changed, people going from one team to the other and then changing again. I get a lot of credit because I'm still with the same club. So to me, it's a nice feeling. I think you feel a lot more gratified, I guess, with some of the things that you've been able to accomplish because you've accomplished them all in one uniform. But it's a dying breed. There just aren't many guys staying in one organization anymore, and so at least Cal Ripken and I have something in common. We've been with our clubs for a long time, and I feel good about it. I think he does too. It's one of those things where I feel fortunate to be able to have played my whole career with the Padres thus far.
I guess you could say there's a lot of stability there too of what you've been able to do, probably because of that.
I think so. I think looking at the game the way it is today, I don't think I could have been as successful playing in a bigger market just because I need time to do what I do. And in San Diego, I get that time. If I was in New York or Chicago or LA, I'm not so sure I would get that kind of time. And so, but I thought about that earlier on in my career. I knew that early on you don't know what's going to happen, and then you get to that point where you have 10 years in, you have say-so where you go, and so once I got to that point, it just started to dawn on me that you really have to feel fortunate to be able to stay with a team as long as I have, and I do, and so I don't take it for granted. Every day you go out there to try to be productive, and that's the thing that's going to allow you to stay with one team for a long time is consistency and going out and doing your job and trying to be good with people and do the right things and act the right way. But that all comes when you sign that contract, and I think that's kind of a thing that a lot of people don't think about. They think about where to go and how much money you get, but the other responsibilities that come when you sign that contract. And so it's all worked out pretty well for me in San Diego, I think.
Looking at you, you're going to go down as probably one of the greatest hitters to ever play this game. Who do you look back and say, that was my idol, that's the guy I wanted to be when I was growing up?
Well, when I was little, Willie Davis was a center fielder with the Dodgers. He was my favorite player. It didn't matter. He could go 0 for 4, 4 for 4. He was my favorite guy. And as I started to get older and I started to kind of get into the game of baseball, there were certain players around the league that I just really watched more than other guys. Rod Carew is still one of my favorite players. He, as a hitter, I don't think there was anybody who was as fluid as he was, who could make adjustments on the fly as good as he did. Pete Rose was another guy I just really admired and loved the way he played, George Brett. And those were guys that as a kid, I tried to pattern myself after. And once I got to the big leagues, I ended up kind of doing some of the same kind of things that they did. But those were my favorites. And even in the game today, I mean, I'm still a fan. Even though I play it, I'm still a big fan. But I think I've kind of turned, like a lot of the fans have, into admiring those guys who have the complete game. The guys who can, hit for an average and hit the ball out of the ballpark and drive in the big run. Your Frank Thomases, your Griffeys, your McGuires, your Bonds, your Piazza. Those guys, Bagwell, they're the complete player. And those are the guys that I think all the kids who watch the game are trying to emulate. They want to be the guy who does everything, and as a player, I've always dreamed about having a year where I did everything, and I still haven't done that yet. And so last year was as close as I've come to it. But that's the challenge of baseball, man. You always try to improve. I don't care how much time you have in the big leagues. You're always going out there trying to get better. And for me, last year was my best year. And coming into this year, I want to try to improve on that. But I'm realistic too. When you have a year like I had last year, it's not going to happen very often, And so, but I still work hard and still try to get a little bit better. But it's early on right now, and I'm having my struggles like most players do. But that's where you find out about yourself. When you're going good, it's easy to sit down and talk to the press, do all the interviews, do all the things you got to do. But when you're sucking gas like I'm sucking right now, it becomes a little bit more difficult. And experience is the thing that gets you through the tough times. And so as the year goes on, I hope to find my stroke again and be able to do the things I've always done. But if I don't, then I know how to handle it.
There's a lot of kids out there that, look up to you. Like, I want to be that guy when I grow up. What's that make you feel like?
It makes me feel good because, like I said, in today's athletics, whenever something negative happens, we're all kind of thrown into the same pot. And when there are kids out there who look up to you, who admire what you do, admire the way you play, to me it makes me feel good. That means I must be doing something right. In San Diego, I think it would be kind of normal for people to kind of look up to a guy like me, but when you go on the road and you go into some of these towns and you have people writing you letters, giving you cards, telling you in the stands, in the parking lot that they respect you and they like how you go about your business, it really makes you feel good because when you've played a long time, I think, at least in my case, I think I've made my mark. I think I've kind of left an impression with people, and that, to me, makes you feel really good because like I said, in today's athletics, man, it's tough. It really is. And, basketball and football have kind of taken over the national scene. And baseball, we're trying to make a comeback with. And to have people come up to you and tell you they respect you, to me, it means a lot.
And to yourself, I see you give a lot to the community as well. I mean, that's something that everybody loves to see.
Well, I think it's part of our responsibility. When you played in the community as long as I have, you have to give back. You got to do something, and I get out in the community and I try to do my share and give my time and give my money. And, we have a golf tournament that benefits a lot of charities in San Diego. And once again, it's not because you're looking for fanfare. You're doing it because you think it's the right thing to do. And when I do it, I feel good about it. But I don't, you don't have to let everybody know. I'm not a big media guy, even though a lot of people see me on TV and stuff. I pretty much am a family guy. I like to be at home with my family, and I like to do things kind of privately. But when you played a long time, man, you just can't fool them. The sunglasses aren't gonna cut it anymore. And so, and once again, that's part of it. It's part of being a big league player. And when you sign that contract, man, there's a whole bunch of stuff that comes with it that nobody really knows about until you get right caught in the middle of it. And but you learn to deal with it, And I think, like I said, I think people learn to respect how you go about your business, how you handle yourself, because when you've done it a long time, it's hard to keep people, have people say that to you all the time. And so, once again, it's a nice feeling. It's a lot more than I thought it was when I started. When I started, I thought it was just about playing in the big leagues 4 or 5 years, saying you played in the big leagues and moving on. And this is my 17th year, and I don't think it's my last, And so I feel very fortunate to still be playing this game. But But it's all about production. You know, everybody could love you and stuff, but if you hit 220, they're going to start thinking about, hey, it's time to make a move. So I have to go out there and concentrate on trying to do my job, and I have no problems with that because I love this game and I love working, I love preparing, and eventually you get back on track and you start doing the things that you normally do, and then everything's fine again.
One last question. If you had to look back right now on your whole career from this day and back, what would you say is the highlight of your career as a San Diego Padre?
Well, team-wise is going to the World Series in '84. That still sticks out in my mind more than anything. But individually, I think I'll surprise some people and say winning my first Gold Glove. That was a big thrill because I came up with credentials as a hitter. I'll go down as a guy being remembered for swinging a bat, but winning my first Gold Glove is still the highlight of my career individually because when I started out, there was no way in heck I was going to win a Gold Glove, and it took me up 6 years before I got some respect on the defensive end, and so to me that's still the highlight because when I found out I was sick in bed, I'd been sick for 3 days, and my agent called me and told me I'd won, and I remember getting up and jumping up and down on the bed saying I'd won a Gold Glove. So for me individually, that's still the highlight of my career. You know, I've done a lot of things, but nothing really tops that.
All right, Tony. Thanks a million.
Okay.
Good luck today.
Thanks. I pretty much am a family guy. I like to be at home with my family, and I like to do things kind of privately. But like when you played a long time, man, you just can't fool them. The sunglasses aren't gonna cut it anymore. And so, and once again, that's part of it. It's part of being a big league player.
There are ball players that search an entire career to find their niche in baseball history. Then there's Tony Gwynn. Now in his 17th year as a San Diego Padre, there seems to be nothing to slow the man down.
Looking at the game the way it is today, I don't think I could have been as successful playing in a bigger market just because I need time to do what I do, you know, and it's a dying breed. You know, there just aren't many guys staying in one organization anymore, and so at least Cal Ripken and I have something in common. You know, I mean, we've been with our clubs for a long time, and I feel good about it. I think he does too. It's one of those things where I feel fortunate to be able to have played my whole career with the Padres thus far.
Looking at you and over your career that you've put amazing numbers up at batting, is there any pressure on you, as people expect you to keep doing what you're doing year in, year out? Is there any pressure on yourself?
No, there's no pressure. You know, it's to me it's kind of funny, because you dig this hole for yourself when you're able to be consistent. People just expect you to hit 340, 350 like it's nothing, and when you put all 17 years together, it looks pretty good, but there are stretches during that 17 years where you're really good and then you're really bad, and the key is to try to find it and then maintain it. For me, last year was my best year, and coming into this year, I want to try to improve on that, but I'm realistic too. When you have a year like I had last year, it's not going to happen very often, and so when you're going good, it's easy to sit down and talk to the press, do all the interviews, do all the things you got to do. But when you're sucking gas like I'm sucking right now, it becomes a little bit more difficult. And experience is the thing that gets you through the tough times. And so as the year goes on, I hope to find my stroke again and be able to do the things I've always done. But if I don't, then I know how to handle it.
Not looking past all the batting titles and Golden Gloves, but what truly makes Tony Gwynn a great of the game is what he gives back to us, the fans.
And when there are kids out there who look up to you, who admire what you do, admire the way you play, to me it makes me feel good. That means I must be doing something right.